Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Streggy, and here I have another review for you of another TV adaptation from Lifetime of The Bad Seed, which is surprisingly directed by first-time feature director Rob Lowe. And here we have an adaptation where, and before I go into an explanation about this movie, there is a character that I wanted to mention in from the previous two film adaptations that I did not aforemention, and that is the character of Miss Burns, which is actually the teacher that was involved with the situation of the drowning of the young Dagler boy. And we have, first of all, we have a role reversal and a location a reversal. In the first two adaptations, in the 1956 version, they were in a rented facility with other tenants. And then in the made-for-TV adaptation, there was a rented facility that evidently the father of Christine Penmark had actually invested in, which was not in the previous film. And the film ended with the novel's ending. There were some characters that were taken away, and some characters that were kept, and some locations that were changed. Whereas in this film adaptation, we actually have the father being the one that is victimized from the child's behaviors. Now, the child is still female, and the child's name is Emma. And first of all, I have to say that the young child who plays Emma, McKenna Grace, is very without empathy throughout the now there one of the things that was kind of kept was that basket of hugs, basket of kisses line, and you don't see any more empathy than this. And Rob Rowe plays David, the father. Evidently, he's very successful at whatever he does. I'm not even sure if it was said exactly what he does, but he has a relatively nice-looking home, which also has a nice separate garage. Mrs. Burns is actually played by a African-American woman this time around, whereas in the previous two films she was white. I think that in the original film adaptation from the 1956 version, the teacher came to the home, and that's when and talked to her about the boy drowning, and talked about the missing medal that was missing, and that's when the mother of the boy came in. In the second film adaptation from 1986 or five, I believe it was 1985. She actually had her come to the office, and the child admitted in front of the teacher what she had done. And in this film adaptation, they came to the home, or the teacher came to the home and talked with the father alone. But the teacher came with like a superintendent or someone with the board, and he was a little bit more authoritative. And in this film adaptation, there is actually something that the child does to the teacher to make her disappear, which is different. Now, the character that somewhat plays the character of Leroy Jessup, it has had a role reversal as well, which is a little bit different, where we have a babysitter that comes in, and her name is Chloe, played by Sarah Dugdale, and she's kind of non-empathetic as well. And she seems to instigate some of the situation because she knows that Emma is not innocent, and that she has had something to do with the death of this young student, Milo. And apparently, one of the things that I like is that you actually see what happens to the child, and you actually see some of what happens to the teacher as well. But Chloe evidently is a young blonde girl who seems to have sexual intentions towards David, the father, and she insinuates this with the child, and somewhat instigates it from there, and that's where we see some of the where she doesn't want her daddy to be with anyone else. And what's different is that the mother is dead in this film, and there is no mystery involvement with that Bessie character, which is the evil woman who, in the original 2 adaptations of this film, so there is no real connection there. Now, there is an aunt that is involved in this story, and I like how mean that the young Emma is, and I like the back and forth that the babysitter seemed to go. And there are lines that are similar that Chloe says, like the fact that she talks about this electric chair that they have for little girls, and in each adaptation, it's like it's an instigation for the young girl to eventually do something towards this character. And I thought that this was a well-grounded film. I'm not exactly sure if doing it in a rich setting instead of the rented setting and taking out the mystery factor did anything for the story, because I think that it kind of tied into how the child became the way they were. But there was I mean, there is a moment where David's Rob Lowe's character is talking to young Emma right before he gets shot or whatnot. Is that she reminds him of her mother, and I think that there might be something behind that. Again, film is subjective, and it can be different for another person, and you could entirely enjoy the original performance of Patty McCormack. And I like the fact that Patty McCormack came back and played the role of the psychologist that kind of just, kind of blew everything off, that she is just a normal child. I like the fact that she supported this endeavor. And I think for a first feature, this was really good, really good and really put together. I just hate the fact that it was Lifetime that put it out, because this could have been done with a much broader production studio. That being said, well done, Rob. Thank you for redoing a classic in your own way, and I enjoyed watching it. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed my description of this film. If you do like my description of this film, go out and watch it yourself. I'm sure it can. I'm sure that Lifetime is going to be replaying it for several weeks. So, in any case, like and subscribe to my page if you have not, and check out some of my other reviews of this film and the other adaptations if you have not. Thank you, and have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. I appreciate you if you have listened.